Today we're going to talk about one- and two-step inequalities. So yesterday we talked about writing and graphing them, and today we're going to talk about solving them. So first off, solving inequalities. We are going to follow the exact same rules as solving equations, except, here's the big except, if you divide or multiply by a negative, and that's dividing or multiplying, we're going to flip the inequality sign. So that means if I had this inequality to start with, I'm going to flip it to greater than. If I started with greater than or equal to, it's going to flip to less than or equal to. Let's go ahead and get started. One-step equations. If I'm trying to isolate x, I need to get rid of minus 4. I'm doing the inverse just like with equations. Plus 4, and that gives me a grand total of x is greater than or equal to 13. And that's it. If I have to graph that solution, I would put 13 on my number line, 14 is bigger, 12 is smaller. Remember, if I have something that is or equal to, that means it can equal 13, and I put a closed dot there. It says x is greater than. If I read it this way, the bigger side comes first, so it's saying greater than, and I draw my arrow this way. Now for the second equation, the 5 is being multiplied to that x. So in order to solve, I'm going to divide by 5. Now if you're thinking, well, should I flip the sign because I'm dividing? Remember, the number I'm dividing by is a positive, so the answer is no. Do not flip the sign on this problem. 10 divided by 5 is 2. If I had to graph this inequality, here's 2 on my number line, here is 3, here is 1. Because it's not equal to, I am not going to put a closed dot because my solution cannot be 2, but it still says greater than, so I'm going to point my arrow in the direction of greater. Next example, x divided by negative 3 is less than 9. In order to solve, I am going to multiply, because that is the opposite of division. I'm going to multiply by negative 3. That results in me eliminating the negative 3's on the left, x. Now, before you write your sign, make sure you ask yourself the question, did I multiply or divide by a negative? The answer is yes, I multiplied by both sides by negative 3. So I'm going to flip my sign from less than to greater than, and actually do that, simplify that right side, negative 27. If I write my number line, here's negative 27, open circle, because negative 27 is not a solution. Remember, on a number line, negative 26 is larger and negative 28 is smaller and greater than, pointing this direction. That is one step. Let's go ahead and cover two-step. Two-step equations. Let's begin by finding your variable, and I'm going to isolate it. I'm going to draw a line separating my two sides, and I'm going to continue, just like solving equations. Minus 4, 2x is greater than or equal to 20. I'm going to divide by 2 because I'm multiplying by 2. Oops. And I end up with x is greater than or equal to 10. Now, remember, I don't flip my sign because this 2 is positive. All right, next example. If I'm solving for x minus 8, negative 3x is less than 30. I'm going to divide by negative 3, and here I am again dividing by a negative. So when you divide or multiply by a negative, you reverse your sign. So this symbol is going to change from less than to greater than. And 30 divided by negative 3 is negative 10. All right, next example. It includes a fraction, and that is okay. So in order to solve for x, I'm still going to get rid of everything that's by it. I need to get rid of the 1/5, and I need to get rid of the negative minus 10. Remember to get rid of whatever is further from that variable to begin with. So to start, I'm going to add 10. Don't worry about that fraction until you have to. I have 1/5 x is less than or equal to 8. Next step, get rid of the 1/5. I can divide by 1/5, but what I'm doing when I'm dividing is really multiplying by the reciprocal. If I flip 1/5 to 5/1, I'm timesing by 5 on both sides and timesing by 1 and dividing by 1 on both sides, and they cancel out. I'm going to multiply the other side by 5/1, and I end up with x is less than or equal to, well, 8 times 5 is 40, and 40/1 is still 40. So that is my answer. Now this last problem for two-step inequalities, I'm going to continue to be the same problem. So minusing 4, 5x is greater than or equal to -15. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. X is, now I'm going to consider again, I'm dividing again, so I need to decide, am I going to flip my sign? Now if you see that -15 and say, hey, I should flip it, what I want you to think about is, what are you actually dividing by? I'm not dividing by -15, I'm dividing by 5. And that's positive, so I am not going to flip my sign. And I get x is greater than or equal to 3. Let's do some story problems. Kimberly took her 6 nieces and nephews to a hockey game. She wants to buy them snacks. How much can she spend on snacks for each child if she wants to spend less than $33 in total? So here's how much Kimberly's going to buy, and here's her limit. And let's put that on there. So when I'm writing story problems, okay, find out what your limit or what your upper limit or what your lower limit is, because we're comparing two things. My limit is 33. Do I want to buy, is Kimberly wanting to buy more or less than that? Okay, she wants to buy less, so I want to make sure I put the less than symbol. 33 is the max, so that's why the alligator mouth is eating 33. Notice that it doesn't say she is okay spending 33. She wants to spend less than that, so don't put the or equal to. Now, how much is she going to buy? Well, she has 6 nieces and nephews with her, and I'm assuming she's going to buy the same amount for each, so 6x. And I'm going to go ahead and solve that by dividing 33 divided by 6. X is less than 33 divided by 6. 5.5. So Kimberly wants to spend less than $5.50 on her nieces and nephews each. All right, the community pool is charging a flat rate of $50 for a birthday party plus $250 for each person. Deborah cannot spend more than $100. How many friends can she invite? Okay, so what we're comparing is how much she can spend to, we're going to compare it to her limit. Now her limit we know is $100. She can spend that. So it can equal 100, or what she spends over here is less than or equal to 100. Well, what is she spending money on? $50 plus her $250 for each guest, and I'm paying that $250 more than once, so make sure you put a variable attached to it. And let's go ahead and solve that. Minus 50 from both sides. 250p is less than or equal to 50, and 50 divided by 2.5 p is less than or equal to 20. P is less than or equal to 20. That means Deborah can invite 20 friends or less.